We live in an age where technology dominates most of our daily lives, and engaging in a craft gives me a break from the screens and the keyboards that take up so much of our time. Working with my hands gives me an opportunity to connect with the tangible world. My first dream job was to be an announcer for the Chicago Cubs. I grew up listening to the Cubs on the radio when Ron Santo was one of the announcers. I was mesmerized by the sounds coming out of the radio, and this would later spark what was to become my future. When I started playing music as a kid, I definitely wanted to be a rock star, and later on that dream linked my interest of electronics to guitar amps.
Shake the dust off your feet, then keep on walking. Shake the dust off your feet, then keep on walking. Shake the dust off your feet, then keep on walking. Shake the dust off your feet, then keep on walking.
There are some great buzzwords to describe tone. Clean, crisp, twangy, vibey, shimmery, drippy, dirty, gritty, grungy, fuzzy. You get the point. But I think sparkly is my favorite. It's one of those words that when you hear it, you're like, yeah, that is sparkly. That makes sense. It's very warm, but there's a bite on the high end that makes it really shine above the rest. I'm Colleen Fazio, and I repair vintage guitar amplifiers. I specialize in repairing tube amps. A tube is a glass cylinder that kinda looks like a light bulb. The air inside the glass is removed to create a vacuum. Electrical current flows through a filament, which generates heat. This is the glowing part that you see. This heat releases negatively charged electrons from the cathode and flows through the vacuum to the plate, which carries a positive charge. Just like a magnet, opposites attract. The more voltage that's applied to the plate, the more electrons that are released, and in turn, attracted. This creates an amplified signal, which is what you hear coming out of the speaker. Tube amps are special because they provide a warm, clean tone when played softly, and break up into sweet saturation when played with force. Back in the day when I was in a band, my dad and I took a broken record player to Deltronics. That's where I met Mike Del Valle. He owns and operates the audio repair shop in Woodridge, Illinois. I was immediately intrigued to what was possible, what he was doing by reviving electronics. He became my mentor and took me in with open arms. Mike can fix anything. He taught me everything I know and gave me the confidence I needed to start my own business. When I'm fixing an amp, I don't have to think about anything else. I'm in my zone. I don't focus on problems outside of what I'm doing at that moment. I find that while I'm soldering, my mind is in a flow state. I'll start some busy work by diagnosing the amps, quoting estimates, and then getting into some bigger repairs or restorations. Some of the repairs can take a few hours, or some can take an entire day. It's always very exciting to open up an amp for the first time. When I get an old amp from the 40s or 50s, I'm curious if it's ever had any work done before or if it's all original. It's totally like opening up a time capsule. And there's something magical about vintage electronics. The layout of the components are visually appealing. I love the branding and labeling on the control panels. It gives character to each amp, and some are quite striking. Fender amps are truly special for me to work on. Those early amp circuits created some of the most iconic tones. When you crank the volume, the signal gets really gritty. This revolutionized the sound of guitar and set the stage for rock and roll. Fender amps are some of my favorites to repair because of how simple they are and how rich the history is. When I'm repairing these old amps, I like to think that I'm preserving their legacy for the next generation to enjoy and discover. Working on amps is fulfilling for me. I get to meet so many talented artists and work on so many unique amps. Without tube guitar amps, music would not be the same today. All of that feeling that comes from a tube amp is the reason we have rock and roll and so many other genres. I truly feel honored to help the legacy of tube amps stay alive and thrive. The time I've shared with these amps is a labor of love. I've learned so much, and it makes me wonder, what can I create